Hi everyone, how are you today? I just want to give an overview of the class and how we're going to be spending the next 12 weeks and talk a little bit about ethics and bioethics. So this class, as you know, is an introduction to bioethics, part of the patient advocacy certificate program. So we're going to talk about ethics and bioethics, and then we're going to apply it to your work as a patient advocate or just as your, life in general, because we all approach ethical issues and bioethical issues in a constant basis. Um, so first, I want to just sort of take a step back and talk about what ethics are and what ethics are not. So ethics are a standard of behavior that tell us how human beings ought to act in many situations in which they find themselves, in situations that they find themselves with friends, with parents, with clients, with children, with citizens, business people, teachers, etc., etc. So it's a standard of behaviors based on beliefs and morals and frameworks. But it's also important to realize what ethics is not. And we don't want to confuse ethics with the following things. Ethics is not feelings. We may feel something, but that's not necessarily an ethical feeling. Our feelings are important. We should understand why we have certain feelings, but feelings are not ethics. Ethics are also not religion. Different religions have ethical viewpoints and they advocate high ethical standards, but not all religions address all the issues that we face today. And there's different things, that have to do with ethics. Ethics is not the law. If you follow a law, it doesn't also often mean that it is an ethical behavior. Um, a good system of law does incorporate ethical standards, but what a law is different from what an ethics is. There's, a relationship between law and ethics, but it's not always the same thing. Ethics is not always following culturally accepted norms. Culturally accepted norms are important. They're part of our everyday life. We should be aware of them. But some things, culture norms, may not be ethical. If we think about back to slavery, right, that was a cultural norm. But if we look at it, it was not ethical, and it was not ethical at that standpoint, at that time period either. I mean, there were different opinions on it, but in certain societies, it was a cultural norm. And it's not science. Social and natural science can provide important data to help us make ethical decisions and ethical choices, but it is not the same. So all these things are interrelated to ethical decision making and ethics, but they are a little bit different. This is why, applying ethical standards is so hard, because we need to figure out some things like what do we base our ethical standards on? Sorry, my head is like looking sideways. I don't know if it's my head or the camera. Sorry, that was just a little aside. That's one of the challenges, sorry, as I scratch myself, the challenges of videoing me. So I apologize for those weird little things. So back to why ethical standards are hard to understand and to follow at times. So, because we need to figure out what we base our ethical standards on, and some people have different moral codes. Um, and then we have to look at how these ethical standards are applied to certain situations. And then we have to remember that they are not, again, based on feelings, religion, law, accepted social practice, or science. They may be influenced, but they're not the same. So hopefully that gives you a little better understanding of what ethics is and what ethics is not. The book and some of the readings you'll read over the next 12 weeks will delve deeper into this. So this class is actually bioethics, not ethics. Bioethics is an applied field of ethics within the study of ethics that deals with the moral and ethical questions surrounding life, health, science, medicine, and the environment. It's a newer field. It was really developed in the 60s or 70s, and an outgrowth after some horrible bioethical happenings with a lot with human experimentation, and it's really been developed around dealing with some of the newer technologies. Um, So that's a quick introduction into ethics, bioethics. Obviously, we'll deal more with that. Um, so I want to take a step back and sort of talk about the next 12 weeks. So we are going to, go back and forth between sort of trying to understand the whole field of bioethics, and then thinking about how it applies practically to your place in the world, and then your place in the world as a patient advocate. We're going to look at the philosophical and legal underpinnings of bioethics. We're going to look at some of the practical aspects. We're going to delve deeply into the sort of the core principles of bioethics, which are patient autonomy, non-malfeasance, beneficence, utility, justice, and how they apply to specific questions. So, like most classes, we'll sort of be doing this circular thing, going in and out of different ideas of thought. So the practical aspects of the class, each week will include a short talk by me, or a PowerPoint, depending on what the topics are. Some readings, the readings from the text, or some supplemental readings that I will be posting on the modules. And then there'll be some videos and podcasts. There's a lot of great resources out there, so we're going to take advantage of listening to what other people have to say on the topic and thinking about it as a group. Then each week we're going to have a discussion and a short answer. There are some weeks off for each of them. You'll see in the course summary and the course outline, but basically it's a discussion and a short answer each week. And then we have some ethical briefs. There's a question and you're going to be asked to respond to it. And there's the first one is due week 5. The second one is due week 8. And then I will grade them, give them back with some revisions and comments, or comments and with comments. Then you can make revisions based on my comments, and then on week 11 you will submit an ethics portfolio with revised versions of both of the ethics briefs. So that's, hopefully it's enough work to keep you busy and not overwhelm you. Mostly, the discussions are really important. It gives us a chance to interact with each other and talk with issues. And then some other things, I've added a course cafe each week, which you may or may not participate, just to sort of check in and see how we're going. It's my attempt at trying to create a bioethics class community. So, we can share a recipe, or just say if we had a good day or a bad day, just sort of that pre-class chit-chat. That is not graded. It's just really something to help me get to know you better. And finally, if anyone wants to set up a time to talk to me or to email me with questions or comments or ideas, you're always welcome to do that. I'm always happy to talk, to Skype, to connect with people on an individual basis. And then, also at the end of it, we have a couple opportunities if you want to share resources that you think are really helpful for patient advocates in general, around bioethics or ethics. And then there's another one, if you have questions about the course that you want to share with everyone, and I will check in on that pretty continually and respond. So that's it for today. I hope this has been useful information and supplemental to the readings, and I look forward to getting to know all of you over the next 12 weeks, and especially look forward to hearing or reading your introductions in this week's discussion. So this week there's 2 discussions. There's an on-topic discussion, and then there's an introduction discussion. Okay, have a good week. Look forward to seeing you later. Bye.